Iron chains rattle against the dry silence of the desert, drowning out the wind. It is the spring of 260 AD, on the scorched road leading away from Edessa. 70,000 men stumble in a line stretching to the horizon, stripped of their armor, their legionary eagles smashed into the dust. At the head of this column walks Emperor Valerian, no longer a god, but a prize in golden shackles. What Persia did to its Christian captives and Roman soldiers following this defeat created a legacy of horror that shocked even the Romans. King Shapur I does not want their heads, he demands their hands. They are marched east into the Sassanid heartland, towards a barren foundation of red clay. This sticky, blood-colored earth becomes their bed, their burden, and the symbol of their captivity. Why were these specific souls denied the mercy of the sword? And what impossible monument were they condemned to raise before they could be allowed to die? The stone remembers what the history books forgot. If you enjoy these dark histories, leave a like and subscribe and comment below where you're listening from. And now, back to the story. The march consumes weeks, bleeding into months, dragging the survivors deep into the humid, suffocating heat of Khuzestan. Here, the sun does not warm. It hammers against the skin like a physical weight. The 70,000 are no longer a legion or a citizenry. They are a herd. The Sassanid guards strip them of their names, replacing titles of rank with designations of utility. A centurion becomes a stonecutter, a senator becomes a water carrier, a priest becomes a mixer of mortar. The rigid hierarchy of Rome dissolves into a brutal binary existence. Those who can work, and those who will be left for the vultures. They arrive at the banks of the Karun River, a violent torrent of water cutting through the plain near the ancient city of Shushtar. The Persians point to the river, then to the vast deposits of red clay and limestone. The impossible task is revealed. They are not here to rot in a dungeon. They are here to build. King Shapur needs a dam to divert the river and irrigate the plains of his growing empire. He needs Roman engineering to perfect a Persian victory. The captives are handed chisels and hammers, tools of creation turned into instruments of enslavement. The distinct clang of iron on rock replaces the rhythm of marching boots. Productivity is the only shield against the whip. Among the dusty faces are men of the new faith, Christians swept up from the sack of Antioch and the ranks of the legion. They find themselves in a strange paradox. The Zoroastrian priests, the Magi, watch them with deep suspicion, seeing their lack of fire temples as a pollution of the land. Yet the work must continue, so the oversight is purely pragmatic. The captives organize themselves into work gangs, mimicking the discipline of the military camp they lost. At night, huddled in temporary pits dug into the earth, they whisper prayers. Bishop Demetrianus, captured alongside his flock, moves among them. He offers no false hope of rescue. Rome is too far away, and their emperor is now a footstool for a foreign king. Instead, he offers a different kind of resistance, the refusal to break internally. The Persians offer a calculated mercy. If the dam is built, if the bridge spans the torrent, the captives will be granted land. They will be given a city of their own, Bishapur, here, in the shadow of their conqueror. It is a mercy designed to sever their last tether to home. To accept the land is to admit that Rome is dead to them. They must mix the mortar with the red clay, sealing their own fate into the architecture of the enemy. They build the Band-e Kaisar, Caesar's dam, putting Roman genius to work for a king who claims to be the king of kings. Every stone laid is a betrayal of their oath. Yet every stone laid buys one more day of breath. The walls they build will become their cage. The great weir, the Band-e Kaisar, finally spans the Karun. The roar of the water is tamed into a steady agricultural hum. With the engineering feat complete, the utility of the captives shifts from their muscle to their souls. Shapur I offers the terms of their permanent residence in the newly risen city of Bishapur. The layout is distinctly Roman, a grid plan, unheard of in circular Persian city design. It looks like home. It smells of roasting meat and baking bread. But the condition for inhabiting this mirage is absolute. They must cease to be Romans. They must bow to the fire temples that now dot the hillsides, acknowledging the supremacy of the King of Kings over their distant, defeated god. The Sassanid Magi, guardians of the Zoroastrian faith, view the Christians with deeper hostility than the soldiers do. To the Magi, the Christian practice of burying the dead is an abomination, a pollution of the sacred earth. They demand the bodies be exposed to the sun and vultures, as per the rites of silence. They demand the Roman priests stop whispering over bread and wine. The pressure begins softly. Extra rations for those who attend the fire ceremonies. Better quarters for those who adopt Persian dress. It is a siege of the mind, designed to erode the memory of the West. But the legionaries and the faithful hold to a discipline forged in the barracks. When ordered to pay homage to the eternal flame, a blackened, emaciated deacon stands before the local satrap. He does not preach. He does not scream. He simply points to the dam they built, then to his chest. He delivers the refusal flatly. The stone is yours. The breath is mine. Compliance is not a currency that can buy their souls. The softness of the offer evaporates. The mercy is withdrawn. The rations are cut to the bone. The captives are restricted to the poorest quarters of the new city, a ghetto of red clay and dust. Leaders are separated into solitary confinement, swallowed by the silence of the Zagros Mountains. The Persians wait for the despair to break them, for the hunger to force a conversion that the whip could not. But they misunderstand the nature of their enemy. These men survived the plague of Cyprian. They survived the collapse of the frontier. Deprivation is not a new terror. It is a familiar habitat. The silence intended to crush them becomes a cathedral. In the quiet of the work camps, the lack of official oversight allows a subterranean structure to harden. The legionaries maintain their ranks in secret. The Christians memorize their scriptures because their scrolls were burned. The why of their survival becomes terrifyingly clear. Shapur did not keep them alive merely to move rocks. He kept them as living, breathing trophies, a domesticated Rome to prove his equality with the Caesars. The price of their survival was supposed to be their identity, their transformation into obedient Persian subjects who would validate his empire. Instead, the suffering calcifies their resistance. They turn the ghetto of Bishapur into a fortress of memory. They carve crosses not on the public walls where they would be erased, but on the inside of the water tunnels, in the dark where only they go. They bury their dead deep in the floors of their hovels, hiding the pollution from the Magi, turning their very homes into reliquaries. The intended humiliation fails because the captives refuse to be humiliated. They treat their exile not as a defeat, but as a deployment. They are a legion in the Underworld, serving a term that has no end date, waiting for a relief force that will never come. The empire thinks it owns them because it holds the keys. Centuries grind the Sassanid Empire into dust. The Arab conquests sweep through, followed by the Mongols, and the red clay of Khuzestan is buried under layers of ash and anonymity. The city of Bishapur falls silent, its walls crumbling into the Zagros foothills, becoming a riddle for shepherds and looters. The surface story remains the one carved into the cliff face at Nakshi Rustam, the giant relief of Shapur on horseback, holding the wrist of a kneeling Valerian. It is the official narrative of total domination, a billboard of stone meant to freeze time at the moment of Rome's greatest shame. But under the soil, the red clay hides a different testimony. In the 1930s, French archaeologists begin to peel back the earth covering the ruin. They are looking for Persian grandeur, for the fire temples and the palaces of the King of Kings. Instead, they find the floor. Beneath the heavy debris of the reception hall, They uncover vast stretches of mosaic tiles. The workers brush away the dirt, and the eyes that stare back are not Persian. They are portraits of noblewomen, musicians, and courtiers rendered with the distinct shading, perspective, and realism of Antioch. The faces are framed in togas and tunics. The artistic DNA is undeniably, defiantly Roman. This is the wordless rite of memory. The captives, forced to decorate the palace of their jailer, used their chisels and tiles to replicate the living rooms of the homes they would never see again. They did not build a Persian paradise, they paved the floor of the enemy king with the soul of Rome. Every tile laid was a quiet act of preservation, a way to maintain the aesthetics of their civilization while their bodies wasted away in the heat. The artist remembers what the king commands him to forget. The layout of the city itself betrays the secret. Excavations reveal that Bishapur is not circular, like the traditional cities of Gur or Ctesiphon. It is a grid. It has two primary streets intersecting at right angles, the Cardo and the Decumanus. It is a Roman military camp fossilized in stone. The hidden truth is that Shapur, in his lust to possess Roman power, inadvertently preserved it. He wanted to own the West, so he imported it whole. The captives were not just labor, they were the architects of a hybrid ghost, a city that felt like Italy burning in the Iranian sun. Records suggest that these captives eventually formed their own distinct caste, the Rumagan, the Romans. They did not convert. They endured. They carved their existence into the infrastructure so deeply that to destroy them would be to destroy the city's water, its walls, and its beauty. The mercy of the land grant was a lie, but the captives made it true by refusing to vanish. They birthed a pocket of Christendom that survived long after Valerian's lungs had collapsed. The emperor was a trophy, a stuffed skin displayed in a temple to mock his gods, but his soldiers became the foundation. They buried their history where the wind could not reach it. The names of the 70,000 are not written in the chronicles of the Sassanids. The Persian scribes recorded the height of the walls, the yield of the harvest, and the glory of the king. But they did not waste expensive ink on the men who dug the clay. The distinct identities of the legionaries evaporated into the heat, erased by a bureaucracy that viewed them only as hands and backs. Even the fate of Emperor Valerian drifted from history into the realm of nightmare folklore. Christian writers claimed his skin was flayed, dyed red, and stuffed with straw, hung in a temple as a grotesque warning to visiting envoys. But the skin rots, the straw decays. The trophy that Shapur paraded eventually turned to dust, just like the king himself. The only thing that refused to die was the work. The bridge at Shushtar still breaks the current of the Karun River today. The locals still call it Band-e Kaisar, Caesar's Dam. It stands as a stubborn anomaly in the Iranian landscape, a piece of Roman engineering so perfectly executed that it survived the fall of Rome, the fall of Persia, and the rise of the modern world. The water that irrigates the fields of Khuzestan flows through arches designed by men who knew they would never taste the crops they watered. The irony of Shapur's victory is absolute. In his attempt to enslave the West, he ensured that a piece of it would stand in his backyard forever. Go back to that road in Edessa. The iron chains are gone. The golden shackles are dissolved. The shouting of the guards has been swallowed by 18 centuries of wind. The red clay that coated their boots is no longer a burden. It is the mortar that holds the horizon together. The captives won the only victory available to the defeated. They outlasted the whip. The empire that captured them is a memory, but the stone they laid remains solid, mocking the silence of the desert. Subscribe, hit the bell, and like. The water still remembers the taste of Roman sweat.